Ciao Tutti! My name is Lorraine and I'm here to tell you about nettle, aka stinging nettle. It is the medicinal herb that I chose for this semester. And I'm also going to show you how to make a recipe called chicken nettle soup that will come in very handy for those winter months, even those handful of cold days that we experience here in Southern California.
Nettle looks innocent enough from a distance, but when you brush up against it, you will regret that right away, as the sting is quite nasty. It is covered in tiny hairs on the stem and under the leaves that inject into your skin and causes sharp pain while also leaving welt marks. Nettle has been used for medicinal purposes going back as far as the Bronze Age. Julius Caesar's troops would rub the stinging nettle on their skin to keep them awake for battle, and nowadays people purposely sting themselves with nettle to relieve the discomfort of arthritis. Native Americans, along with Europeans, would use the plant to make things like linens, fishing nets, and other textile goods. In ancient Greece, it was used to treat numerous things like asthma and pleurisy. During the Civil War, the Confederate doctors would soak bandages in a concoction made with nettle to stop bleeding. There is a long list of the things that nettle is used currently to treat, but the ones that are recognized by medical studies is for the treatment of BPH, a condition dealing with an enlarged prostate, arthritis, and hay fever. Other claimed things that it treats are muscle pains, hair loss, menopause, diabetes, kidney stones, intestinal parasites, nausea, inflammation, hypertension, skin problems, common colds, IBS, nosebleeds, and it eases labor pains. Enjoyed mostly as an herbal tea, nettle can also be added to your daily life in an oral tablet form. Another good way to ingest this herb is to add it to your cooking. By preparing it like you would spinach, the cooked nettle can be added to soups as well as casseroles. Nettle can also be used in the non-ingested form of a topical cream on muscle aches.
Nettle is a perennial plant and it is in season usually in the spring and the summer. Usually starts cropping up in the spring. So I had a little bit of difficulty finding a recipe or anything that I could do with the dried nettle that I bought. Most recipes online for dried nettle is basically just making tea. And because that wasn't part of our assignment, I went searching even further by using Pinterest, and I found a website called, nourishingherbalist.com. Anyways, the recipe I found online was a soup that I mentioned before called chicken nettle soup. And I chose this one because it's the easiest one I found, and I'm not that very good in the kitchen, and so I decided that was the way to go. Yeah.
For this recipe, we need 6 cups bone broth, 3 cups shredded chicken, 1/4 cup butter, 1 large onion chopped, garlic chopped, 1/2 cup parsley chopped, 6 to 8 carrots chopped, 6 to 8 celery stalks chopped, 10 ounces shiitake mushrooms chopped, 3 cups rice or quinoa, this is optional, and of course our most important ingredient, dried nettle, 1/3 cup.
We start with melting the butter in a deep stock pot, such as this. And then we will add the onions, carrots, and celery and cook them, stirring occasionally until they are crisp and tender. Okay, so I checked the tenderness of our carrots, and they have a slight crisp to them, so I'm going to go on to the second step, which calls for adding the chicken, garlic, and mushrooms, and then you can add a pinch of salt and pepper to your taste. Our next step is to add the 6 cups of bone broth, and if you would like the rice or quinoa, the recipe calls for 3 cups, but I decided to do 2 cups of the rice and added an extra cup of the chicken, so instead of 3 I did 4 because I wanted a little more protein. We're going to continue to let this simmer for about 10 minutes before we add our final 2 ingredients of parsley and nettle, and then after that we will let it cook a little, about 10 more minutes. And finally, after those 10 minutes, we add our last 2 ingredients, the chopped parsley, and of course our ingredient de la resistance. I know I mispronounced that, but who cares? Dried nettle. Yay! So we let this steep another 10 minutes. I'm going to just mix it in here a little bit. Get it all in there. It's a deep pot. Anyone want to do some dishes? So I did the dishes and let this simmer. So it's been about another 10 minutes now. So I'm going to say we are done. Let's see the green, the parsley and nettle. It does smell very good. So here's hoping it's as good as it smells.
The soup was very yummy. I'm so glad I chose nettle as my herb. I hope I convinced you to give it a shot someday too.
This isn't the nettle. This is leftover stuffing from Thanksgiving. I love stuffing. And cranberry sauce.